Although St Andrews has got all these awards and it's got safe car park and so on, what's quite sad is that there've been a number of suicides over the years, and so recently they have installed a protective barrier, which is kind of quite beautiful. It's silver with kind of silver circles everywhere, like kind of like raindrops, or I don't know, yeah, it bubbles. So it would have been quite a nice place to sit, but as I said, I couldn't sit up there because I'd run out of the car parking. Then I thought, well, is there like a little place to pull over somewhere nearby? And I haven't worked out how to do the locks in my car. So, you know, when you're sitting in and you want to lock it. But now I'm just looking at the door and I'm thinking, is that what you do? Oh no, that's the, yeah, that's just the mirror, the windows, isn't it? What's that? Is that a lock? Oh, okay. So I've learned something new. So it's just in there. Amazing, really. It's the one with the symbol of the lock on it. So anyway, I can't lock the car door. Well, I can now, but I thought I couldn't. So yeah, and I think it's sweet and lovely that the place where I feel safest to come back to and just sit in the car park and do these little voice notes is at home in GY. And Norwich people, they wouldn't all understand that, and that would be due to their conditioning and bloody blah. But anyway, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna walk on stage with a straight out a Yarmouth t-shirt and be all confrontational about the, you know, because that really wasn't the vibe. You know, it was yeah, it was very nice, and it's like, what more could you have wanted? Probably nothing. It's kind of what you'd expect. Very diverse, very inclusive, lots of mention about mental health and autism and ADHD and but you know, very, and lesbians, and you know, very like inclusive, and yeah, what more would people of all ages, young people, someone who's 64, and you know, it was good. So yes, I'm not going to do anything kind of confrontational or provocative is the word, I guess, more. I'm going to, yeah, what am I going to do? So I was quite nervous, and it would have been so easy just to leave, you know, afterwards, just to go. So in the interval, I sat up and I went right up to the gallery, and I sat there in these really comfortable seats because I'd stood up all the time, and I sat down, and it was really nice, and I looked at this white wall, and I just looked at this plain white wall, and yeah, I just enjoyed being up there. And I was waiting for the bell. I don't know if there was a bell. There always used to be a bell. And then I went in, and then I was hanging about, and I went and bought a book, and then I was like, the bar staff were really friendly, and oh, it would have been so tempting to leave, but I didn't. I went back into the thing, and I stood around, and I thought the people are always going to be busy. It's always going to be people talking to them. I'll go down the front. So I went down, and so then I waved and I said hello, and then she said, oh, you need to speak to this other one. But anyway, the first one I spoke to, she said, oh, I like your earrings. I said, oh yeah, they're my one pair of going out earrings. I mean, that's the kind of weird thing to say, isn't it? And who says that or does that? So anyway, I could say something about that. Why is it that I have one pair of going out earrings? That's obviously because I got rid of all the other things. And you know, non-attachment, conditioning, free, blah blah blah. And then we think about the grass is always greener. So there's things that make the grass look greener, and apart from the obvious things that I probably don't need to mention, there are, you know, having a brush with mortality. So it's good examples of that. Dennis, or having a, you know, being diagnosed with a terminal illness. Sorry to bring the mood down. Dennis Potter touching the blossom. Wilco Johnson interview about when he found out that he was dying. Actually turned out kind of okay, but anyway, that's a brilliant interview about the dustbin. Even the dustbins were like vroom vroom. Everything was so alive and wonderful. So yeah, that, a brush with mortality, a serious brush with mortality, can really make everything, make the grass is greener. Yeah, you know, the grass is always green, and it's much greener than we realise. Now, everyone, it seems, is very obsessed with, you know, the normal things, the jobs, the promotion, the house, the bigger house, moving. And when people feel restless or dissatisfied, they might look at houses, or they might go and move or think about moving. And I remember an estate agent said to an old boyfriend of mine once, I mean, this is really sexist, but this is what I said, it was ages ago, but said once, in my experience, once a woman says they can want to leave, want to move, then you know you're going to move. Anyway, so but people do it as a reason, not as a reason. People think that it will do more than it will, and I'm guilty of this. You know, I look at houses, I have little fantasies about doing them up. So I can't even like be bothered to sweep and wash my own kitchen floor. Well, I think I'm gonna renovate a house. I mean, I've totally rebelled against that, and there's a reason for that because of my upbringing, blah blah blah. That's a whole nother topic. I've forged my own way, as I remember thinking once, looking at my mum's garden, which is absolutely beautiful, and I thought, her stuff is all outside. You know, I've done all of that, but it's inside. You can't see it, not particularly interested in it, and that's why I'm a little bit, well, I like to think mysterious, but I think sometimes boring, you know, and maybe I come across a bit boring or a bit clumsy or a bit awkward. That's because a lot of my stuff is inside, or, you know, it's on the blog, you know, if you want to know about me, read the blog, I guess. But yeah, obviously not everyone is interested. So yeah, so it's not about the thing itself, it's the, so sometimes people can move, people can win the lottery and it makes no real difference to their happiness. And there's lots of studies, you know, beyond a certain amount, which obviously that amount is bigger and bigger than it used to be, basic needs and a bit left over, which, you know, not an inconsiderable sum, with prices being as what they are. But beyond that, it's no guarantee of happiness. So people move house, they expect it to do something. People get married, expect to do something. Have a baby, expected to do something. But yet, change and doing things does have an effect, but it's not necessarily about the thing itself. The thing is not to pin everything on that thing. It's just being open to other things. Like, we once got a sofa, and you know that had a really big effect on us. Got rid of the old sofa, which I'd bought for £30 plus a parking ticket, so about 65 altogether, and then we got this other one which was donated £30 to a charity, really posh sofa, and you know that had a real impact on us. You know, I wrote about it, I thought about it, it was like a marker in our lives. That was because we decided to make it important, and it was. You can make anything important, just like anything can be a sign. So we can talk about signs, talk about synchronicities, talk about, and what I realised in the bathroom today at the art centre, yeah, I mean, I could do a lot about there. I could do about the Manic Street Preachers, and I could do about, yeah, it's interesting, you know, wearing ripped jeans and shorts and DMs and a kind of, you know, middle-aged version of what I used to wear. But I kind of had this realisation that, you see, it's not the thing, it's the effect of the thing. So even like Witch Club, you know, I put quite a lot of effort into that, and I take it seriously, and I really like it, and you know, I don't really talk about it, and I'm probably not going to talk about it in this speech, but it's the practice and the doing and everything, but that has had an effect. And I truly believe that has led on to all of this other stuff. Like, that's not the thing itself. So for some people it becomes the thing itself. They say wandering around with, you know, great big like wizard sleeves and, you know, henna your hair, and oh yeah, I'm, you know, into tarot, and they make it your whole identity, and that's the thing, and think that will do it. But that doesn't necessarily do whatever this is. So what is this? So this is like the uncovering of your authentic self. This is, yeah, finding out who you really are. And yeah, it's interesting. It's a full moon. I spoke to Julie about the moon, the effect of that. Now this is our time. I read Marina, and yeah, what I liked for her, well, so many things, but one of them is there's 3 Marinas. You've met, as in the reader of the book, you've met the warrior one, the walk through walls. You've met the spiritual one. There's also a third one, the bullshit Marina, the one that feels sorry for herself, sits in bed watching crap films, eating whole boxes of chocolates. And I thought, yeah, that's I suppose, you know, me being me, I would have really liked to see a bit more of bullshit Marina. And I thought, with my blog, you know, I've done a lot of the bullshit Rachel, I've done a lot of the spiritual one. I have been a fearless warrior, and part of the fearless warrior, not like in her way, but the fearless warrior of putting it out there and doing it. And okay, let's face it, getting rid of all your stuff, selling your house, leaving your job and going off. Yeah, even though, you know, I had lots of advantages to make sure that it was soft landing coming back and everything. But yes, there's elements of that, but perhaps I've indulged the bullshit one a bit too much. You know, the depressive leaning type one and all of that. And maybe now is the time to focus more on the fearless one. But yeah, tell that to me when I mean, I did everything. I did it, you know, I did it. If you can't be fearless, you know, be brave, which means, I think, feeling fear and doing it anyway, is that? And I did it. Yeah, I felt scared, but I did it. And if I hadn't done it, I would have gone home and, yeah, perhaps I'd have emailed them, but I wouldn't have known what the theme was. So today I got like a little leaflet. It's got all the dates with all the themes. I had a chat with them, I introduced them. I mean, yeah, they were friendly. I don't think they were incredibly friendly. Perhaps not as friendly as I am, but then maybe I'm over friendly. And yeah, probably maybe I seemed weird, and not weird because I am weird, but just weird. Well, I am obviously, but weird because I was a bit anxious, I guess. Yeah. So in my head, I read the Marina, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. You know, I really want to get up and do that. I was like, okay, well, step 1, you go up and you go and talk to these people and talk about, oh, you want to do a story? Yeah, maybe. What do I do? Or you email, and then you can't, you know, it's like, okay, what time do you get here? Is it a workshop? Or no, you get here about 6:37, just so I don't get worried that you're not going to turn up. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, of course, you've got to accept it first, you know, you've got to email first, you outline your idea. Yeah. Oh, and there was all these empty picture frames, and there was lamps, and yeah, you know, empty frames. I don't really know what that means, but I see them a lot. The advertising one, the empty sign, the gap on the seafront that kind of looks through the window through to the Circus and the flamingo, and then the mirror that you couldn't really see through yesterday that I trod in the dog poo, and then made me chuck away my trainers, which is great because they had a hole in and they're getting slippery, and I said I was going to do it. You know, I wear them every single day, pound the pavements. They need, apart from when it's boot weather, which is only like sometimes really, most of the time it's the trainers, and I said they need replacing after 6 months, you know. Yeah, John's birthday and Valentine's Day, and here we are, that's this month. So it was impulsive, but I think sometimes I need to do that. And yeah, this is about the trust your intuition, cooperation, lean on others, get help from other people, and also know that you have everything. So I suppose that means that I have the resources. So the grass is greener, yes, in that it is worth the journey towards self-actualization, uncovering your real self, with true purpose or what have you, is worth it. Be aware, I guess, that it could be just parking your car in a different place and noticing something. It's not necessarily big things, you know, because after a while you do the big things, like, you know, oh yeah, you go off and you go traveling, and you know, that kind of becomes a routine. Or you live on a boat and it's like, okay, yeah, that's sort of interesting, but after a while, well, it's not edgy anymore after a while when you don't, you know, as in edgy, I don't mean edgy as in, oh, showing off about being edgy. I mean edgy as in you coming up against your edges. You know, yeah, the first few times, or, you know, and then unless something kind of happens, which to be honest is just stress, and just stress on its own isn't necessarily that helpful. I don't know, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was an adventure, yeah. Being able to live in different places and, you know, live out, you know, manage on baby wipes and minimal water and drive down the M25. Yeah, all of that was fantastic. Yeah, all of that was. But yeah, I guess didn't need to carry on doing it. Like 1 year was enough. So the grass is always greener. You don't necessarily have to move around, although I would advise as a Norfolkan, yeah, that has been very helpful for me moving around. But then now that I've come back, so yeah, but I regularly don't know where I am, because for quite a while we were somewhere else and we would just come back and visit, or we had the house but we hadn't changed jobs yet, so we were just back every other weekend. And then we had a year there, and then we had before that we were there, and then after that we were there, and it's like, yeah, where is my nearest town? And you know, you know, what Asda am I in, or what B&M am I in? I don't know. Yeah, it's made me flexible. But yeah, all I have to do, and I would advise that this is similar for a lot of people, is to slow right down. I catch myself rushing. I slow right down and I just notice, and there in front of me will be the most lovely mint green, paint peeling, faded wall with a kind of, not miniature, but low miniature, as in it's low down, little sign, very like cutesy, with some plants growing up, and that sight will just make me so happy, because it's just, yeah, I slow down. The beauty's always there, you know, the green walls, green grass, even when the grass isn't green, you know, there's always something that's green around you. And if there isn't, you can find the beauty in the old gasworks, in the what is it called, the pasta factory, the railings where I park and make these voice notes soften at the moment, the street lights, the dashboard of my car. Yeah, it's the stepping out of the perception, and the most important route is just to slow down and notice things. I don't know if there's anything that's going to be any good out of that to inspire me, but hopefully I'll think of something.